We opened up the season with the Bills beating the Rams 31-10 on the road. The Bills looked like the best team in football. Josh Allen, aside from 2 interceptions, one that was his fault, one that was not, looked like the best player on the planet. The Rams, on the other hand, they had their problems offensively. Matthew Stafford was sacked like 7 times. Their left tackle spot might be an issue this year. And outside of Cooper Kupp, nobody did anything. That includes Allen Robinson, who had 1 catch for 12 yards, and Cam Akers only got 3 carries in this game. The Bills' defense looked dominant, and that includes the former Los Angeles Ram Von Miller, who had 2 sacks in this game. The Eagles beat the Lions 38-35 on the road. For the Lions, it kind of reminded me of their Week 1 last year when they came back against the Niners in garbage time and made the final score look a lot better than it actually was. For the Eagles, their offense looked very dominant. They had 3 rushing touchdowns from all their running backs. Jalen Hurts looked very good rushing the ball, especially, and A.J. Brown had a great Eagles debut with 10 catches, 155 yards. For the Lions, DeAndre Swift looked very good, but their defense might need some work, especially in the secondary. The Chicago Bears were able to pull off the upset. They beat the 49ers 19-10. This game was an absolute monsoon. It looked like they were playing in a kiddie pool the entire time. Justin Fields and Trey Lance did not have the best days throwing the ball, and that made sense due to the conditions. But the Niners defense did break down a couple times, including a very long pass to Dante Pettis, who was wide open. Dante Pettis' revenge game, by the way. And then the other St. Brown brother scored a touchdown, and the Bears took this one. Of course, people are already saying that Jimmy G should start over Trey Lance, but he gets a pass in that game from me because of the weather conditions. The Steelers and Bengals, this game was absolutely insane. The Steelers won this one in overtime 23-20. It's sad it even went this far because the Steelers won the turnover battle 5-0. And the Bengals, to make matters worse, had a chip shot field goal to win this game in overtime, but they had a backup long snapper that snapped the ball the wrong way, and of course they missed a chip shot field goal. The Steelers unfortunately lose TJ Watt for a while with a pec injury, but he was going off in this game. He had an interception as well. It wasn't the prettiest win for the Steelers, but they'll take it, and the Bengals definitely let one slip away. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 20-7. If you're a Patriots fan, I would be concerned. If you're a Dolphins fan, I'd be pretty cautiously optimistic. Of course, the internet still made fun of Tua because he bounced the ball to Tyreek, but the Dolphins offense looked pretty good. Tyreek had a good day, and so did Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins defense stepped up, or maybe just the Patriots offense sucks, I don't know. But Javon Holland did have an interception coming off his great rookie year. The Dolphins should be fine, but the Patriots, I don't know. The Baker Bowl, the Browns and the Panthers. The Browns pulled off the last-second field goal from downtown to win this one. The Browns were up 20-7 in the early 4th quarter, but Baker Mayfield had a rushing touchdown and a bomb to Robbie Anderson to make it 23-21. Carolina went up 1 with 1:13 left, but Jacoby Brissett came back, made a couple nice throws, and set the Browns up for a 58-yard field goal. Their rookie kicker, Katie York, out of LSU, kicked the game-winning 58-yard field goal. It looked off at first, but it had a sliding motion like a Jacob deGrom slider as time expired, and the Browns won 26-24. The Indianapolis Colts, they did it again. You can never trust them. They tied the Texans 20-20. Every freaking year the Colts do this. Week 1 versus the Jaguars in 2020. Of course, Week 18 last year versus Jacksonville, and now there was this week against the Texans in 2022. In Matt Ryan's defense, his receivers dropped 2 touchdowns in this game. Michael Pittman looked like a stud, and so did Jonathan Taylor. For the Texans, it was former bust of a first-round pick O.J. Howard, who had 2 touchdowns in this one. Rodrigo Blankenship missed a makeable field goal in overtime to win the game, and then for some reason, Lovie Smith, like a coward, played for the tie, and the game ended up at 20-20. Speaking of Matt Ryan and disappointment, the Atlanta Falcons, they lost by 1 point to the Saints while having a 2-touchdown lead in the 4th quarter. Maybe it wasn't just Matt Ryan. Maybe the Falcons are actually cursed. The Saints outscored them 17-3 in the 4th quarter. Michael Thomas came back, of course, and had 2 touchdowns on A.J. Terrell. Taysom Hill led the Saints in rushing. They can't get rid of him. 4 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Chris Olave caught a big 2-point conversion in his debut, and Marcus Mariota's fine debut goes to waste. Baltimore Ravens beat the Jets 24-9. The Jets had a garbage time touchdown, but they looked awful the entire day. Joe Flacco had an interception. Marcus Williams got the interception, the offseason signing by the Ravens. The Ravens, though, they continue to take on injuries. Their corner, Kyle Fuller, is now out for the season, and their tackle, Jawan James, is out for the season. Lamar Jackson did have 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. Rashad Bateman caught a long touchdown, and Devin Duvernay had a couple touchdowns. This game sucked, though, so you probably missed nothing. The Jaguars visited the Washington Commanders, and the Commanders won this one 28-22. It was a very close game throughout. The Commanders got a nice day from their first-round rookie, Jahan Dotson, 3 catches, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including the go-ahead touchdown. Curtis Samuel had 55 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had a touchdown. And Carson Wentz actually looked pretty good. He did have 2 interceptions in typical Wentz fashion, but he actually looked good. For Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence looked okay. Travis Etienne dropped like 3 passes, it felt like, including a walk-in touchdown. And James Robinson actually looked good coming off the Achilles injury. The first overall pick, Trayvon Walker, had an interception. It was a very cool play. And Christian Kirk had 117 receiving yards. The Packers, just like last year, had a very bad Week 1 loss. This one to the hands of their division rival Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins looked really good. Justin Jefferson almost had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nobody covered him. Aaron Rodgers threw an interception to Harrison Smith, and Rodgers had a drop touchdown on one of his first throws of the game to rookie Christian Watson. It was a very rough day for the Packers. Their offensive line did not hold up whatsoever. The Vikings sacked Rodgers 4 times in this game. I would expect next week that the Packers bounce back against the Bears. The New York Football Giants, they won week 1 for the first time since 2016, and they're over 500 for the first time since 2016. They had a thrilling victory against the Tennessee Titans. Brian Daboll in his head coaching debut went for 2, down 19-20 in the final minute. The Giants converted. Saquon Barkley looked like 2018 vintage Saquon. Sterling Shepard off his Achilles tear had a long touchdown catch, and the Giants defense actually held up kind of well. Titans kicker Randy Bullock missed a potential game-winning field goal from 46 as time expired. The LA Chargers, they got their payback on the Raiders for what happened last year. They won this one 24-19. Justin Herbert made some absolutely insane throws. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Chargers' leading receiver was Keenan Allen, but he left the game in the first quarter with a hamstring injury. Former Raider Khalil Mack had 3 sacks in this game. Talk about a revenge game. For the Raiders, Derek Carr had just under 300 yards, but 3 interceptions. Devontae Adams in his Raiders debut, he left off where he was in Green Bay. 10 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. The Kansas City Chiefs, they beat the Cardinals 44-21. Patrick Mahomes had 360 and 5 touchdowns to no interceptions. Rookie Isaiah Pacheco had 12 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Travis Kelce did his thing at 121 receiving yards. Problem in this game was the Cardinals secondary and their pass rush, which was my concern coming into this. I didn't think the score would be this bad, but yeah, it was that bad. Buccaneers and Cowboys, it was a snooze fest for the most part. Dak Prescott has a thumb injury. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks, maybe next year, Cowboy fans. This game was mostly Leonard Fournette on the ground. Mike Evans had a touchdown, and Julio Jones actually looked pretty good. Chris Godwin unfortunately got re-injured. He has a hamstring injury now. Although Tampa didn't look that sharp, I gave their defense a lot of credit. And for Monday Night Football, I don't feel like staying up for that. Let's just assume the Broncos win that game.